We've got a great lineup coming up for the next three presenters here. And the first one is, I'm so proud to introduce Elaine. I got to know her on Noosagak Beach when she fished for my daughter. And she's the only greenhorn I've ever seen that not only ate the raw eyeball out of a salmon, but the heart too, within minutes. She is one tough gal, and she came to Fisher Poets a few years ago and became an instant star. Elana's great. So, Elana Kansaku-Sarmiento. Did I get it right? Awesome. Get your butt up here.
I'm so honored. I'm so honored. Thank you, Mary. It's really awesome. Mary and I actually got to introduce Mary last night for the first time because it was my first time emceeing, and this was the first time she got to introduce me. Happy coincidence. I'm gonna start with a new piece. It's kind of short story form. It's about one of my favorite surreal moments that I've had in the bay so far where I fish. And this one is called Heart of Glass. Extensions, right here, folks, right here is the only place in the bay, nay, the world, where you'll be begged to put your net in the water. Boy, do we have a lot of fish for you today in lovely Noosagak Bay. 30-mile-per-hour winds were bullying skiffs back to their camps, birds back to their bluffs, and fish into our nets. Everyone knows weather brings the fish in. Gets too sunny, we complain there are no fish. Gets too fishy, we complain there's no sun. We would have made Elvis and the Stones proud. Heck, we could have made it on Ed Sullivan the way we were rocking and rolling on wind and wave into what we all hoped would be a good payday, so long as we didn't get too greedy. Skippers on the bridge with the cleanest gear, but just as wet. One hand is bracing himself on the console and the other's on the wheel, legs wide, chin practically resting on his shoulder so that he can see the net behind as he keeps his head low in a vain attempt to keep the wind from ripping the hood of his gear off his dome. Down on the deck we were, with gear that is now almost as clean as the skipper's, thanks to rain softening slime and scales off our coats. So too our legs are set wide, knees slightly bent, our core muscles doing what little they can to keep us from toppling over with each wave as our hands grasp at the silver hanging from each diamond mesh. So too our heads bowed and slightly to the side in an attempt to keep the wind from ripping our hoods off our heads and the water from washing down our faces. We're picking like madmen, two of us looking at nothing but what's directly in front of our faces until our hydro operator makes a comment about what's behind the boat. The lead line has risen out of the water to meet the cork line, sucked together in an embrace that has choked the life out of every fish caught in the web between them. For a short while, we are able to untwist the lines as they come on board with only some difficulty. It soon becomes apparent that we've rolled through the easy part of the net. We have 2 more shackles of rolled gear to pick through, each fathom tighter than the last. There's nothing to be done about it. We put our heads down and we wreck our fingers and wrists trying to pull fish that have been corseted by the mesh, working both the mesh and line with our fish picks and hands. The sky is black, the wind is calling, the waves are waving, and time is but a concept. Suddenly, a clear and ringing tone appears from somewhere near the house. It is as abrupt as a light switch on an early winter morning or a fart in a church service. It begins with a thumping drum beat. gas. Soon turned out, had a heart of glass. Sing like the real thing, only to find much mistrust, love's gone behind. I whip my chin up, confusion coloring my face as I scan left and right, as if to locate the source of this mysterious noise, though it could only be coming from one place. In between, what I find is pleasing and I'm feeling fine. Love is so confusing, there's no peace of mind. If I fear I'm losing you, it's just no good. You teasing like you do. Is Blondie okay? Skipper asks as he emerges from the cabin, where I hadn't noticed him enter. Yeah, Blondie's definitely okay. I smile as salt water melts its way over my lip and creeps around the corners of my mouth. The song had appeared like the sharp snap of a whip dipped in honey while we labored in a wet and bitter blanket. I'd like to think I had been doing better than treading water at this point, but the sound of music after so much silence brought me springing above the surface like Trident himself riding a throne of foam and waves. We untwisted the net over the course of the evening to a saccharine soundtrack out there in our beloved Black Bay, singing, ooh, ah. Thank you. Thank you. Since Mary brought up the reference about eating the eye and the heart, I guess I have to read a poem that I wrote called The Eye and the Heart about that exact experience. This next one is called The Eye and the Heart. You guys are so good. I think they're listening. That's great. The surface of the eye is deceivingly diminutive, like a sliver of moon. Only once a month does the moon fully reveal itself, shedding a layer of darkness every night until true girth and glory are unveiled in shameless exhibition, a sharp turn from the coy crescent display. When I close my eyes, the moons in my skull are made new, hidden from the world, but it is only when an eye is plucked from the socket that its full form is revealed. As I held the salmon's eye, I praised science, nature, and God for this magnificent piece, a calico-like patchwork of turquoise and navy and black, colored to look like the sea in any mood. I held wisdom in my hand, and I lifted it to my mouth. I swallowed the moon. It goes down like a terrible pill, medicine for the underfed adventurer. I lift the top of my knife, the tip of my knife, to the delightfully soft, slightly iridescent underside of the fish. I hover momentarily, shifting the edge to a point just under the head. Carefully, I cut. Little experience hunting for hearts does not make one a poor hunter. I allow my fingertips to search and begin gently tugging on a small organ. It dislodges. Gently pinched between two fingers, I weave it through the organs and meat through the clean white slit and pull out a most perfect heart. Deeply mauve and gently beating, an immaculate invention. I held life in my hand, and I lifted it to my mouth. I swallowed a star. Burning with energy and power, offering light, heat, and life, I wonder how much I'm truly being fed as I hold the universe in my head, in my chest, and in my belly. Light streams from my belly button, my eyes, my nose, my mouth, and I am full. Thank you. This one likes it. Thank you. I'm going to bring it down even a little further before I bring it back up again. This next piece is called The Ocean is an Empath, or The Midnight Zone. There is a sadness in the ocean, and it's eating me alive. As salt corrodes the vessel under my feet, I wonder if it isn't better to dissolve with it than for me to go on believing that I can float. There is a sadness in the ocean. It lives in the vastness. It is the vastness. It lives in human bones picked clean by sharks and fish and microbes. Humans who were lost to their families, to bartenders, or at the very least to the sun, but found and welcomed with open arms by the deep. The ocean is a good place to be sad. There is a gladness in the ocean, and it's keeping me alive. As salt invades my nostrils and cakes on my skin, I rejoice. I am finally seasoned enough for the great banquet table of life. The salt brings out my dormant flavor, coaxing it to rise like a sleepy child, imploring it to look out the window and not sleep the day away. There is a gladness in the ocean. It lives in the crest of the wave, eagerly reaching for the sky on tiptoes with elbows locked and fingers extended, insisting it can fly if it only wishes hard enough. It lives in the light that dances like stars on the surface of the sea, glimmering like jewels, each gentle swell lazily twinkling with the coy abandon of a pretty young girl, pretending not to know why everyone stares. There is a thoughtfulness, a recklessness, a panic, a peace, a fierce anger, a wild despair, an overwhelming joy in the ocean. Water is clear, yet the ocean is anything but. It filters light, taking on the hues that it cannot absorb as readily. Because it is unprepared to absorb blue, it becomes blue. Sometimes other particles float in the water, reflecting other wavelengths. And when it is not blue, green, brown, or red, it is black. And how classically human of us to call the ocean blue when 90% of it is black. We, who called Galileo a heretic for claiming the universe does not revolve around us, who made the creator of the universe in our image, who insisted the earth was flat because that was all we could see of it, who claimed that we are superior to all other animals because we fancy ourselves enlightened and believe we have something called a soul. The parts untouched by light, the 90% we cannot see, that is the ocean. And perhaps that is why, in spite of all the emotions our most empathetic friend possesses, I mostly see one. It is not bad, it is not evil, it is simply dark. There is a sadness in the ocean, and it's eating all the light. And when I cry my salty tears, it tells me it's all right. I'll swallow you, and salty wet will be forevermore, and no more shall you say that you belong upon the shore. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm gonna leave you with just one really quick one to make you all feel like drinking beer for happy reasons instead of sad reasons. And it's called Jumpers. For those of you who don't know, jumpers are fish that jump out of the water. Jumpers, jumpers, as far as the eye can see. Don't look down, just look around, for wonders there will be. The sky is clear, the sun is high, the boats are circling round. For even when it comes to fish, what goes up must come down. Jumpers, jumpers, far as the eye can see. From our starboard to the next boat's port, 10 fish each for you and me. And from that boat's port onto the next, and so on and so forth, all the way to the horizon, money's skipping towards the north. Jumpers, jumpers, as far as the eye can see. Am I just hallucinating, or would you say that you agree? It's not just the gleam of the afternoon sun or yesterday's booze coming back for a run. It's not just wishing, and it's not just hopes, and it's not just fun and games, but jumpers, sweet jumpers, are jumping once again. Thank you.